Terry. I'm going to call the Wednesday, April 15th special city council meeting to order. Our first order of business is the clerk is going to get the rest of the council that's not in the chambers on the phone conversation. So just bear with us for a minute.
Do you want me to call Holly?
I gave her this number to call into.
Welcome to the GCI Conference Center. Please enter your access code. Thank you. Please stand by. If you are the chairperson, press the star key now. Please enter your chairperson. You will now be placed into conference. There are 5 participants in the conference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Perfect. Hello, council. We are on item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. City Manager Mazzaros, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Tonight's roll call. Baklan,
Present.
Osenga,
Here.
Kreitz,
Here.
McClure,
Here.
Butts,
Here.
Cease, and Mayor Terry.
Yes.
Cease, are you there? I just wanted to see if she's
Yeah.
having trouble unmuting.
Yep. No, thank you.
And is Holly Wells on the phone?
I think she's having a hard time getting the number.
We had 5 people on.
Yeah, who was the
Who
other
else
one?
is on the phone that hasn't been called?
You might remind him to unmute.
Let me resend your email.
Okay, well, we'll continue. We
We
do
have a
have a
quorum.
quorum. Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Cease, when you do join, you're welcome to point of order and just speak up so that we know you're on the call. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the citizen comments for any subject except for those items scheduled for public hearing. I want to thank the citizens of Seward for providing comments within the guidelines. We ourselves received a number of comments as council, and then there's a few that sent them to the clerk to ask them to be read into the record. Madam Clerk, would you go ahead and do that?
Madam Mayor, we have,
Hold on, please.
Did someone-
Councilmember Cease, is that you joining? Okay, thank you.
No, this is Holly Wells.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
thank you, it's the city attorney, Holly Wells.
Go ahead, Brenda, thank you.
Okay, so we have 6 citizen comments for me to read, and 1 that has been requested that we contact. The first person is Maya Benavente. Maya Moriarty. Her email is her
Yeah.
other name. Okay. First, I want to assure council members that there are other states, territories, and cities that have implemented more stringent protocols surrounding COVID-19 in an effort to flatten the curve. Guam is a small island with limited health care resources that currently has a nuclear warship docked in its waters with almost 5,000 servicemen, hundreds who have tested positive with the virus, and 1 death. Guam's governor has mandated social distancing, shelter in place, road checks, fines, etc. in an effort to protect the public as a whole. The Navy's numbers are not included in Guam's numbers, which are currently close to Alaska's in confirmed cases, but less deaths. I agree with the difficult choice you made this week, but I also read the packet and don't remember seeing this particular mandate. That said, I would provide exceptions for driving in your car alone or with family unit, working in your yard as long as social distancing is maintained, or even if you're alone in your office at your essential business, as long as sanitizing protocols are being followed. There's enough science supporting wearing a mask when exercising and when out in public around others, like the store, post office, gas station, walking the dogs, work, etc. What you need to decide is what you're here for. Are you here to listen to the vocal minority that cry foul play on individual rights, or are you here for the public good, to protect the community? In this case, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. I hope you pick the public good, and if you say you're going to enforce it, then enforce it. Put a box of masks in patrol cars, and when someone is in violation, give them a warning and a free level 1 mask. In Hawaii, a couple was fined or jailed for not following the quarantine mandate. In Guam, kids, their parents have been fined for not following the shelter in place, where the kids were hanging out together, not exercising and in groups. There were many examples where people flouted their individual rights and had birthday parties, family reunions, went to the opera, and then caught the virus and died. Seward isn't there yet, but it could be. You'll hear the argument that cloth masks do no good because they don't filter out the virus. True, but they also prevent you from touching your face. A person can also put filters in the mask. Give the community more options and examples on how to comply. Maybe you can find a community sponsor who has extra buffs, level 1 masks, cloth masks, etc., or will purchase them. Last year, Altra gave out buffs for the Mount Marathon race. This reminds me a lot when council asked for an advisory note on community water fluoridation. It passed, and then the vocal minority was allowed to keep bringing it up to the point that absolutely nothing was done. I begrudge what happened because the process wasn't followed and upheld. The city never followed up on their compromise either. So what I'm trying to say is that the vocal minority, shall I continue? Just a bit more.
Yeah, we'll allow it.
The vocal minority is just that, it's a minority. The silent majority back then did not speak up either for fear of public backlash or it just didn't matter enough. But the science was on the majority side. For me, this matters a lot. My income is at 3%. My staff are on unemployment. We are cutting expenses left and right, both at work and home, anticipating another month of no income. Something needs to be done to continue to flatten the curve so we can open our office doors full time. Science is black and white, and science supports this measure. The greater good and public health trump individual rights. So I'll ask you to step up as leaders of the community, research what it means to be a leader, to have integrity, to do the right thing. You may find quotes like these. Time is always right to do what is right. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one is looking. And I'll add, and even more important when people are watching, even if it works to your disadvantage. Thank you. The next comment is from, can I just ask, has Councilmember Cease joined us?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. The next comment is from Linda Paquette. Dear Council, Seward seems quite torn between wanting to take care of each other and keep ourselves safe while also protecting our legal rights. Science supports the idea of wearing face coverings when out and about if there are other people around. For example, hiking a trail, while there may not be anyone immediately in front or behind you, if there will be someone in the next hour even, it seems to me you should have a mask on while you hike. Unless you've been diagnosed or tested, no one has any idea if they are a carrier. Therefore, wearing a mask whenever you are going to be anywhere where other people are going to be anytime soon or have been recently seems totally appropriate and a compassionate and loving thing to do for humanity and our community. Let's be humans helping humans. I would like to submit the following changes to the wording that's in the red packet, which is the amendment to this. In addition, the City of Seward strongly recommends that all persons wear a cloth face covering whenever they are outside of their home, residence, or place of lodging, if they are around other people in any setting or where others may be in the near future or have been recently. This is to ensure that undiagnosed or silent carriers are not spreading the virus. Then you can add the time it goes into effect and the exclusion for kids. Thank you for your consideration. Next is a comment from Callie Bacon. Callie and Andrew Bacon. We are writing to voice our support for the face covering mandate passed by Seward City Council on April 13th. Having reviewed the laydown by Kreitz and Backlund for tonight's meeting, We support the proposed first motion. Although wearing a face covering can feel annoying and inconvenient, it is a simple action that we can all take to promote the continued health and well-being of our community members in the face of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you to our City Council and City Administration for your service to the Seward community during this difficult time. Next, submitted is from Rhonda Hubbard. Thank you for your efforts in trying to make our community safe during this COVID-19 virus outbreak. While the city may endorse national and state recommendations and mandates in the form of a temporary city ordinance, there is dim justification for instituting more rules on top of what is already recommended. Under Rule 12, the city adds stricter mandates on the use of face masks. This lacks proper guidance and necessary exclusions. It may be reasonable to recommend that people wear a mask when interacting with others in a business or public setting, but very unreasonable when people are outside in their yard gardening or enjoying the outdoors, distances away from others or with their families. Furthermore, this puts an undue burden on law enforcement. The city's reactions are claimed justified because the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases continue to rise. This statement is overly exaggerated and conjures up unnecessary fear. So far, the number is at 3, and we trust all 3 have or will recover since a death has yet to be confirmed. While we employ reasonable precautions, I also ask the city encourage hope in how we are better prepared in managing and coexisting with the virus so we can all get our town working together, or working again, rather. I would also like clarification on potential gatherings in cars in open spaces to conduct church fellowship gatherings, and if this is allowed given social distancing considerations. I don't see where the state guidelines deny such activity, whereas the city may be handling this differently, which could impede on our civil rights. Thank you for your service and hope your mitigating measures and efforts will be aimed at getting our town opened up as much as we prepare for managing the virus itself. I understand it is a tough balance and liken it to managing a cancer where one must decide if we will go down from the response to the virus or from the virus itself. And a note from Jen Leahy. Hello, I'm Jen Leahy. I reside inside city limits. I'm writing to voice my support for an amended mandate that requires face coverings in businesses and public buildings. Thank you for your service and for prioritizing the health of our community during this challenging time. And next is a note from Hallie Werner and Nathaniel Charbonneau. We are writing in support of a citywide mandate to wear masks or other face coverings while in public. Preventing the spread of COVID-19 should be everyone's top priority. This is a small step, easy step we can all take to help protect not only ourselves, but our friends, neighbors, and loved ones that make up the Seward community. Thank you for taking Seward's health seriously in these uncertain times. And lastly, number 7 is a request that we contact Tara Reamer at her on her cell phone. And Madam Mayor, if I can just note that through the city clerk's office, I received and forwarded over 90 emails from citizens from late Monday night through today at 4:30 p.m. So over 90 emails were received and passed through. They're not all going to be read here, and they're not all in the minutes for this meeting. They are all public record, so if anyone wants copies of them.
And I'll just go ahead while you're calling Tara and confirm that I did receive them, and I know other council members did, and we take our responsibility quite seriously, and I've read through all of them, and I'm assuming, and I can affirm that other council members have also.
Absolutely.
Helps if I dial right.
I'll hang it up here.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Sarah.
Hi Tara, it's Brenda. You are on speaker.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Tara Reamer. I reside within the city of Seward.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Dear council members, in regard to the face covering mandate, I applaud your efforts to protect the citizens of Seward against the spread of COVID-19. As you reconsider the action made on Monday night, I suggest that you actually have two independent but related decisions to make tonight. First, should there be a face covering mandate in Seward? And second, if you decide that there should be a mandate, how should that mandate be worded to allow for consistency and practical application? On the first item, whether or not to have a mandate, I'm actually fairly neutral. The CDC and the state of Alaska both have strong recommendations to wear face coverings. I wear a face covering at the grocery store and the post office, the only two enclosed buildings I have visited in over a month. I wish others would wear them as well, but others have stronger opinions on this matter, and I'll let you listen to them. But on the second item, how to word a mandate, I have very strong opinions. The CDC and the State of Alaska Department of Health face covering recommendations are identical. The recommendations are to wear cloth face coverings, quote, in public settings where other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain, begin parentheses, e.g. grocery stores and pharmacies, end parentheses, end quote. The Seward mandate is much more all-encompassing, requiring a cloth face covering at all times when outside your residence. Problems with this wording include, number one, it prohibits businesses from requiring staff to wear more appropriate non-cloth face coverings. Think about welders, scuba divers, medical and veterinary professionals. This mandate effectively tells them that a cloth face covering is more important than the PPE they wear every day. Number two, it prohibits someone with a small business, wood shop, boat storage area, conference room, etc., from working without a face mask, even when they are by themselves in a private, enclosed location. Think about the pastors who have been filming portions of services from within their churches alone or with their immediate family. Number three, it requires all city residents to wear masks when they are working in their yards, sitting on their decks, or driving in their personal cars. All situations where it is easy to maintain appropriate social distancing. And number four, it does not include an exception for medical reasons. The only exception is for children under age 2. The laid-down version of the motion provided to the public this morning is still problematic as it applies to all essential businesses, including those not open to the public and where cloth face coverings are clearly inappropriate. In addition, the multiple uses of the word and or in the first sentence just confuse me. I do not believe that the City Council intended the wording of the mandate to be so problematic. The easy solution is to change the wording to match the CDC language. If you choose to have a mandate, I suggest this mandate read, within the City of Seward, all individuals must wear a cloth face covering in public settings and where other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain, e.g. grocery stores and pharmacies, unless, number one, a medical professional has advised the individual not to wear such a face covering, number two, the individual is under the age of 2, or number three, alternative personal protective equipment is more appropriate. Thank you for your service to the community during this time of uncertainty.
Thank you, Tara.
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Next on the agenda, Madam Clerk, is the approval of the agenda and consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move, this is McClure, I move for the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second, Fonseca.
Thank you. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? I'll go through the list just rather quickly. Cease?
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm here. What did you ask me?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. Do you have any changes or additions to the agenda?
I don't want this to be as an okay.
Okay, so Councilmember Cease, right now we're on approval of the agenda and consent agenda, and I'm just seeing if council members have any additions or changes to the agenda. Tonight's meeting agenda.
Are you saying, so, just, I'm sorry, mine's gone.
Yeah,
This,
so,
what we're doing right now with this change, it's not on the consent agenda, right?
correct. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, then, okay.
The item for,
I have no other changes.
okay, thank you. I'll go through these quickly. I don't know that anyone's going to have any changes. Councilmember Osenga, Councilmember Butts. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Baclawn? Councilmember Kreitz?
No, I have no changes, but it's very hard to hear you, Mary Terry. And it's very easy to hear the word. So I'm not watching you, so I don't know if that could be moved.
I think
It's on the phone.
I will.
You're yelling and I'm
Okay. I'll speak up too. I'm a yeller by nature. So, Councilmember Kreitz, do you have any changes to the agenda? Vice Mayor McClure.
I have no changes.
Thank you.
Let's see if that helps.
Councilmember Baclawn, thank you for speaking up and letting us know that. Madam Clerk, would you call for a vote on the agenda? There are no items on the consent agenda.
Voting on tonight's agenda, Cease,
Yes.
Butts,
Yes.
Kreitz,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Baclawn,
Yes.
McClure,
Yes.
Mayor Terry.
Yes,
Your agenda is approved.
thank you. Councilmember Baclawn, are you able to help? Dear, are you able to tell that that helped?
It seems like it's the same, but it's okay. I'm putting you on my speaker. I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you very much. So next on the agenda is item 6, unfinished business, items for reconsideration, resolution 2020-028. Madam Clerk?
Madam Mayor, before we take up the resolution, we need to have a motion to reconsider.
Oh, no, but aren't we reading the title into the record?
We will after, well, yeah, we can do it that way. That's
okay,
fine.
okay.
No, we can do it that way. Resolution 2020-028 is ratifying additional temporary emergency operation rules and procedures implemented by the city manager in response to the public health emergency caused by COVID-19.
So since this is an item for reconsideration, do I have a motion for reconsideration?
Yes, this is McClure. I move for reconsideration of Resolution 2020-028.
This is Mayor Terry, I'll second. So, Vice Mayor McClure, I'll give you the floor to speak in support of your reconsideration.
Okay, I brought this up late Monday night. I felt after what we did on Monday night, and I'm speaking just to the amendment we made on Rule 12, not the entirety of the resolution, but based on public input and consideration of what we had done, I felt that first of all, it was a major amendment to something that the public didn't really have a chance to weigh into, and there was a lot of public opinion stated where I felt that we needed to accept and listen to that, and also it was worthy of reconsidering and rethinking this amendment. So that's my thought.
Thank you. And I'll follow the same format as Monday night. I'll call out the council members' names and I'll let you speak. Councilmember Cease, you are first.
Okay, I'm in favor of the changes.
Okay, so Councilmember Cease, right now, sorry to interrupt you, but we're speaking solely to the motion to reconsider. So I'll just remind council of that.
Okay, I want to reconsider it.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Osenga?
Let's reconsider it, yes.
Councilmember Butts?
Yes, in favor for reconsideration.
Councilmember Baclawn, did you have any comments for in support or against the motion to reconsider?
No comment.
Thank you. Councilmember Kreitz?
I vote that in favor of reconsidering.
Thank you. I will just state my support of reconsideration also. I'll just stop right here. Does anyone have any further comments?
Mayor Terry, this is Christ.
Yes?
So Councilmember Baclawn and I have been speaking yesterday and today in regards to
Councilmember Kreitz, we're still voting on the motion to reconsider, so I was just checking with council and see if there's any further debate on the motion to reconsider.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I will say, there's been a motion to reconsider, there's a second, we've now discussed, and now what we will be voting on is an affirmative vote, votes to put this resolution back on the table to discuss, and that vote must pass by 2/3 votes. So we will need 5 votes to put this back on the table. Madam Clerk, would you call for a vote, please?
Voting on the motion to reconsider. Cease.
Yes.
Baclan.
Yes.
Butts.
Yes.
McClure.
Yes.
Kreitz.
Yes.
Osenga.
Yes.
And Mayor Terry.
Yes.
The motion passes and your resolution 20-028 is back on the floor in its last state.
Thank you. So before we start our discussion, to make this cleaner, I move to strike the language adopted Monday night in under Rule 12, and that language is, in addition, the City of Seward mandates that all persons wear a cloth face covering if not inside their place of residence or place of lodging. This goes into effect April 14th, 2020 at 9 p.m. Per CDC guidelines, children under 2 years old are not required to make a face covering. So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
This is McClure. I will second that.
And I'll go ahead and speak in support of my motion. My intent right now is to strike that so that any actions we take tonight are clean and we're not trying to amend language that's already been adopted from Monday night. And I'll go through the list and see if anyone has any discussion. And this discussion is solely on the motion that I'm making to strike the language under Rule 12 that was added Monday night. Councilmember Osenga?
No comment.
Councilmember Butts?
Nothing.
Thank you. Councilmember Baclan?
I would like to ask if you would amend your amendment to end right before per CDC guidelines for children under 2.
I am not going to amend that. If you'd like to make a motion, my intent was just to start with a clean slate. So I think that doesn't move to my intent, but you are welcome to make a secondary motion at this time.
It's okay, we'll fix it under the proposed language. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kreitz?
None.
Thank you. And Vice Mayor McClure?
None.
Councilmember Cease?
Everything's okay.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, could you restate that motion and can we have a voice vote, please?
Voting on the motion to amend Rule 12 by striking the language, in addition, the City of Seward mandates that all persons wear a cloth face covering, if not inside their place of residence or place of lodging. This goes into effect on April 14th, 2020 at 9 p.m. Per CDC guidelines, children under 2 years old are not required to wear face coverings. Voting on that amendment, Butts?
Yes.
McClure?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Baclan?
Yes.
Cease?
Yes.
Mayor Terry?
Yes.
That amendment is approved.
Thank you. So what we have before us right now is Resolution 2020-028. I believe everyone has what's was provided Monday night, and we're going to go through and discuss the resolution itself now. So the first council member I'm going to call out is Councilmember Kreitz.
Yes, at this time, can I make a motion, a new motion in regards to this?
You may, if that's your wishes.
It is. I'd like to make a motion for phrasing in regards to face covering mandate.
Okay, can you please state where in the resolution you'd like it to be included and then read your language?
I would still like it to be included in the same location under Rule 12, and the language would read as follows. The City of Seward mandates all persons over the age of 2 are required to wear some form of covering over their nose and mouth, such as a homemade mask, scarf, bandana, or handkerchief, when entering into a house, when entering into or inside of any building open to the public, when using public transportation, taxis, or ride shares, or when pumping gas. It is also strongly encouraged that those engaging in an outside physical activity wear a facial covering if they are unable to keep a distance of 6 feet or greater from others who are not in their own sheltered group, which would include household members. This section shall not apply to persons that are riding in a personal vehicle, that are alone in a separate single space, that are with their own sheltered group, household members, when doing so also poses a greater health, safety, or security risk, or for consumption purposes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Bachman, second.
Thank you. Councilmember Kreitz, I'll let you speak to your motion, and then Councilmember Baclan, I'll go to you.
Councilmember Baclan and I have been working together the last 2 days on wording just based on the numerous emails and contacts from citizens that we've gotten in regards on how the resolution was passed on Monday, and we really tried to take into consideration everyone's concerns in regards to that, and we felt that this wording that we finally came up with addressed all of the issues that everyone had and still protected the citizens. So I would like to bring that, to council and get their feelings on how they feel on this new wording.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Baclan, did you have comments?
Yes, most of all of this wording that Councilmember Kreitz and I have worked on, she pulled a lot of the wording from other suggestions and from other municipalities. So this was basically everything that we came up with, but in a tighter wording form, and that already existed in other places.
Thank you. Councilmember Butts, did you have comments to the motion?
I don't have it all in front of me right here, but I lost the part about penalties or enforcement.
There wasn't.
That's why I guess that's the question I had.
Great, thank you. I'll go back to Councilmember Kreitz and/or Councilmember Baclan. Did you have any input on how that would be enforced?
Go ahead, sorry.
We would maybe like to hear from the city attorney on how best to word that portion.
Madam Wells, are you on the call? Can you speak to that?
Yes, I am on the call. I think that what the city needs to do is, I think you have a provision in your code as it stands that you can use to enforce the mandated rules under the emergency operations plan, so that you can rely on that if you need to. What most communities are doing is adopting an emergency ordinance that clarifies that rule, and ensures that you have the due process you need in order to issue those tickets, because we are dealing with, and while they may very well be justified by the situation, we're dealing with things that are imposing on the civil liberties of the individuals within your community, right? So ideally, you would have an emergency ordinance that imposes a $500 fine, and then that goes to the court for enforcement. There's a form that we need to fill out. I do think, though, that's a hard question to answer because the way that this was amended is not in compliance with the emergency operations plan and procedure. So while council certainly can take this action and that they can prohibit or require something in light of COVID-19, they need to do so outside the scope of the rule. So they would create their own, the resolution would be separate and distinct from the confirmation role that council plays when it comes to the emergency COVID rules promulgated by your city manager in his civil defense role.
Holly, can I add something real quick? Can you hear me?
Councilmember, I'm sorry, City Manager Mazares?
Is that okay?
Yep.
So under our code of ordinances, section 1.05010, general penalties, section A, any rule, regulation, order by any officer, including emergency, and it spells out the violation of any provision shall be punishable by a fine not to exceed $300. So obviously this would fall under that. My concern was the way you and I have worded the regulations and the mandates and the emergency orders was under my authority, which like you're saying, the council has full reign to do the mask ordinance. The problem is the authority we wrote these rules under is done under the mandate that I am authorized to write, which does not allow me to go beyond the governor's mandate, which if we were to include it in this or do it as a separate item, we could probably include it as a separate rule and annotate it, that it was passed by council and that it would be followed in this document, and that would just highlight that it is not coming at my authority because I don't have that authority to do. But yet, and that's where today I tried to reach out to the proposers of the revisions to say, if you want it in the rules, it has to be enforceable to the full extent that the code allows, otherwise it should not be in a rule. And that was kind of why we were going to talk, but does that make sense, and is that something you would feel comfortable doing or not?
So, yeah, let me just clarify a little bit, Attorney Wells. So you are saying that council does not have the authority to make changes to this resolution as it currently stands?
Correct.
Okay. So, if we would like to enforce either a mandate or suggestion, it will have to be either at another special meeting or at a next regular meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, Councilmember Butts, I'm still going up the list. Councilmember Butts, did you have anything further to say?
No.
Councilmember Osenga?
I guess just clarification, so we're not, am I hearing that we're not able to, or we shouldn't be able to change the mandate that we were trying to modify?
That's what I heard.
Correct. This is Holly. Yes, the way that the emergency operations plan authority structure works is your city manager is put in the civil defense director position, and he is given this authority to make rules that are necessary to protect and preserve the public health and safety. And he can do that quickly. He can get those posted and react to what he needs to do. The only way he can do that is if council confirms those rules at the next available meeting, right? So there is council oversight there, but he gets to move first. And so those rules were already promulgated. So that's one piece, that's one line, one way that the city of Seward gets rules. And I do think he can adopt rules that, as long as they're not travel mandates that go beyond the state of Alaska's mandates. But that, we have to be very careful as we do it. Then you have the other branch, which is council as council. You continue to have lawmaking authority. Nothing has taken that away from you. But when you do something like impose a prohibition or a requirement that masks be worn, you need to do it under your regular council hat and not under these rules. So you would do it by resolution, you could do it by emergency ordinance. We make a determination regarding what is the best instrument based on the substantive and due process pieces, because a lot of the things you're going to want to do or need to do are going to have serious implications for rights to privacy and due process, right? So we'll make that determination. If you guys say, hey, I really want to get a mask requirement out there, I think it's really necessary. So you get a resolution on the agenda, and council goes through the steps to adopt that themselves. And then as part of what you adopt, you say, this become this carries the force and effect of a emergency COVID-19 rule. And we post that and we keep it in a separate section so the public is informed, and then we can enforce it using the tools we're given under your code. So there's two pieces going here. One's moving super fast, like the speed of light, and that's your director in response to an emergency. And then there's council that continues to move at the pace that's set so the public can be involved.
Great, well, thank you. Go. Thank you for the new information.
You have to just approve 20-02.
Yes, or choose to say no. No, we don't want these rules the way they're written. But this one's a supplement. So I think another thing we could do is a little bit, different. But if you really want to get to this mask requirement, we could amend the title of the resolution to, one, confirm the emergency COVID rule revisions submitted by your civil defense director, and two, adopt council rule 1. We'll give them numbers so the public can have clear understanding of what's coming, right? Assuming we're going to have other ones. Council adopts rule 1 requiring masks in public places within the city. And then we can get back to the language that's being proposed. That said, that's not my favorite choice only because it is a significant imposition on the community, and so you want them to have input in a very organized way. The more clear it is, the less challenge you'll see.
Well, yeah, and the whole point is that these would be separate acts, then.
Exactly. That's the goal here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cease, did you have any comments?
I was asking about the same thing. So in my opinion, I don't think that we ought to do anything until we get the legal part of it done. I mean, I'd like to have a mask, but I don't know how we can mandate it.
Thank you.
Am I making myself clear?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, we can hear you.
I think everybody ought to wear a mask. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just that how are you going to police it? I said that the other day. And unless we have something in writing that we can fine them if they don't wear one.
Great, thank you. Vice Mayor McClure?
Well, now, based on the attorney's input, it sounds like we need to defeat the amendment because it's not legal and probably pass the resolution so we can get on with our emergency, and then develop a resolution from council dealing with masks to be presented at a special meeting or another meeting. So we're just discussing this amendment
Yes,
now.
we're speaking
Whether
about
I
it.
feel for it or not, I think we can't do it, so, based on the attorney's input.
Thank you. So it's my turn for comments. Clearly, with the new information tonight, I'll be voting no on the amendment. I'm going to go back through the list. Councilmember Kreitz, did you have any further comments?
I would like to leave open the option of what Ms. Wells just gave us, as far as I know that's not her primary choice, but I know that the city's citizens have had quite a bit of input over the last few days since this went into effect. But making a separate rule, as she said, like a rule number 1, and then bringing this forth tonight, because I feel if we wait to make a separate resolution, that's going to be, possibly several more weeks. We're going to have an influx of people here in town way before then.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. So what's going to happen right now is we'll vote on this motion. Councilmember Baclon, I'll give you another chance to speak, but let me just outline. We'll vote on this motion. Following that, there'll be an opportunity for either additional motions, or if there's no additional motions, then we will adopt the resolution. So first item of business that we're dealing with is this motion. Councilmember Baclon, did you have any additional comments to the motion on the floor?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I just want to let the public know that Councilmember Kreitz and I have worked very hard on researching and looking at different options and wordsmithing all of this. We've taken all the comments that have come through from emails, medical professionals, and the community, and we worked very hard to try to figure out a compromise between anything. I left a message for Holly Wells earlier today, and I was not contacted back. I wish that she had contacted us, because then we could have possibly worked through something a little bit earlier today and brought something more substantial, and rather than just hearing her advice on the last thing, on the last issues that we were talking about. But we need more representation from our attorney to be more present and following what's going on and trying to reach out to council members to help us with these things. We are not the experts on anything, and we need help and guidance, and we're trying our best to try and protect everyone in this community and serve its interests while maintaining a balance of that. So I want to say thank you to Councilmember Craig for working really hard on this. I'm sure in the next few days we'll have a lot more to talk about to figure out how we can get through this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Councilmember Baclan. I'm just going to go through the list again. If you don't have any further comments, you don't have to say yes or no. I'll try to pause through each name. Councilmember Butts? Councilmember Osenga? Councilmember Cease? Vice Mayor McClure, did you have any further comments? And I don't have any further comments. Madam Clerk, would you call a vote on the proposed motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I will. And then may I ask a question of the attorney following that vote?
Yes.
If that's acceptable. Thank you. So voting on the amendment to adopt new language under Rule 12, I do have, it's quite extensive. Would you like me to read it? Or
I think at this point it's a moot point to not read into the record. It'll be included in the minutes, is that correct?
It will.
Yeah, thank you.
Voting on the amendment proposed by Kreitz. Butts?
No.
Kreitz?
No.
Cease?
No.
Osenga?
No.
McClure?
No.
Baclan?
No.
Mayor Terry?
No.
That amendment has failed.
Madam Clerk, did you have a question for the attorney?
For the attorney, based on the resolution that was passed Monday night, was passed with the amendment in place. If you are saying that council does not have the authority to amend the rules, what is the status of the resolution from Monday night?
Well, because that was outside of council's authority, I would say that is a resolution that we do not give weight, right? Because it's much like when we have a code provision and the code provision violates state law or the Constitution, the first step is not to enforce the code provision, not to use it, and then the next step is to correct it and cure it so that we don't have any harm. So I would recommend that the city not implement the change in rules, not publish the change in that rule, and then we get a new resolution out there to that effect. However, because there's a reconsideration of this resolution on the floor, and so the other way to deal with that is to follow through the reconsideration. It gives you a tool to simply take that action.
Would it be acceptable?
That would be the easiest way, I guess, is just to reconsider it and remove the amended language.
Which has been done.
We did that.
We did that.
Yeah, we did do that.
You just,
So,
okay.
Is that what you guys just did?
Yes.
I'm trying to follow
That's exactly what we did.
Would it not be acceptable, Attorney Wells, for council to fail this resolution tonight and then bring forward a new resolution for consideration to adopt addendum number 1, separate from any other resolution that council would bring forward?
Yeah.
Thank you.
But,
Can I add, yeah.
Because as it stands right now, the resolution has the amendment in it.
no, it does
No,
not.
you just-
I took it out. The very first thing I did
You
was take it
failed
out.
it.
So,
You failed, sorry.
yeah,
No, we did.
You're right.
The
you
very
failed
first
new
thing I
language.
did
Thank you.
was take out
Thank
what
you.
was done.
Right,
Okay,
it's
so
just-
so it
we're
would
on.
be what staff recommended, proposed
So,
Okay.
originally.
so right now, we are back to the original proposed resolution from Monday night.
Here.
And is striking that language and amending this resolution acceptable tonight? I thought the attorney just said
No.
you cannot amend
We're not-
the rules.
We're not amending.
We're not amending the rules.
No. They're not amending the rules, they're removing their amendment of the rules.
Yeah, that's what I
Right?
did.
Which
Yeah.
is,
So that's what they're taking out what they supplemented in the rules. So what the only remaining question is, do we have unconfirmed rules at that point? And to the extent we have that, that's not a problem, because you'll do it at the next meeting. If you want to confirm the rules separately, just for clarity, you'll take that step.
But I,
Here, right now, it's
yeah,
my understanding the council has removed the supplemented language. That's what you're doing. You're reconsidering the confirmation and revision that happened at the last meeting.
Right,
Correct.
So they're not going to approve the revision.
right.
right. But, can I- may I?
City administrator?
So Holly, so where we sit is if we go back to the proposed resolution and rules as presented in the original packet and take a motion to approve that, that would be allowable at this point. I think where it got crossways was I presumed it would be like a resolution where the council didn't just strike the rule or say, yes, these rules are fine, or take one out. There was language added. And because you didn't attend the meeting, you weren't scheduled to be at the meeting, so without knowing that, I just presumed that council could adopt and modify. In essence, they could have stricken or bring it back as you're proposing and everyone's agreeing now. So I think where we stand is we want to make sure that we do a new motion to vote on the original resolution as presented so that the current rules and adjustments take effect, because they've been posted for a week and a half.
Let me just clarify for everyone what's happening.
Thank you.
The resolution was approved Monday night. There was a reconsideration filed. Today, we're here to reconsider it. There was a 2/3 votes. It was on the floor for reconsideration. That reconsideration was approved. Now it's on the floor. It was on the floor then for approval. I had a motion to strike the language that was added Monday night. That passed. We had a second motion to add additional language that failed. So now where we are is the resolution 2020-028 is back on the floor for adoption as proposed Monday night. So let's go through the list again. Councilmember Kreitz, did you have a further motion to make based on the city attorney's recommendations on how that might happen?
Yes, and I'm not sure exactly how to word that, but I would like to add a Rule 1, separate from taking it out of Rule 12 as we did and making a new Rule 1. And then I can read the wording again if you would like. If she could just tell me the correct language to say that in so it's appropriate.
Sure. So what you have now as the title is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seward, Alaska, ratifying additional temporary emergency operation rules and procedures implemented by the city manager in response to the public health emergency caused by COVID-19. And you would move to add and promulgating City Council Emergency COVID-19 Rule Number 1, requiring facial masks in public locations within the city.
Okay, so
You would add to the title, and then you would amend the resolution, and let me just find a good spot. You would just, there's really no, so I think you'd add a section
Section 3. It'd be Section
Maybe
3.
this is well, you don't really have a section. So you have a section 1 stating that the city council hereby promulgates rule number 1, and then the language that you and Councilmember Bacon worked on can go into that. So you can just read that into it. Does that make sense?
That does. So I would like to put that wording in promulgating Rule 1, the city council mandates, and then if I need to, do I need to show you the wording again, Brenda? Would you like me to
No.
read that again?
I have it, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kreitz, and I'm looking for a second to that motion. Hearing no second, that motion died for lack of a second. Back on the floor is Resolution 2028, and that was ratifying additional temporary emergency operation rules and procedures, and that's as it was that's how it came to us Monday night at the regular council meeting. I am going to go through to see if there's any additional comments. Councilmember Bacon?
Yes, I want to say that the reason that I didn't give a second to that is because I think we need to come up with a separate resolution, and I'd be willing again to work with Councilmember Kreitz to work on a separate resolution if needed, or I feel that it is needed, and we can come up with more clear wording and then have it noticed more to the public this time, as well as maybe working with the city manager to see if he, as the emergency director, would want to come out with a mandate to address this issue, to have that more done in an expedient process, if that's the way we choose to do it, or he chooses to do that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any comments for the resolution itself, Councilmember Bacon?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Butts?
Not this time.
Thank you. Councilmember Osenga?
No comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Cease?
No comment.
Thank you. Councilmember Kreitz, did you have any further comments on the resolution?
No, I am disappointed that we could not get this done tonight. We feel like the longer that we wait, it's going to put more people at risk in our community, but I am willing to continue to work on this and get this passed. I don't think that the coronavirus is going anywhere soon, so we need to have this done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Vice Mayor McClure?
My only comment is for the public that this was the original, what we're talking about now is the original resolution with the city manager's mandates, and there's nothing mentioned in here about face coverings.
I probably need
there?
to speak to that.
Yes, I'll let you speak.
I'll take
Mr.
Southie.
Mazzaros?
So the reason, so when Attorney Wells and I draft these, we go directly from the state mandates issued by the governor and the CDC. So under the rule and the authority delegated to me in that capacity, I'm only allowed to enforce and state the rules that are already out there. So Councilmember Bacon asked that I bring forward a resolution proposing the face masks. I can't do that upon my authority because they have not done that in the state. The council may surely do that through resolution. And I think that's where Holly was trying to explain that, that I don't have the authority to just add that into these rules, and this document is not really the appropriate place to do that. I didn't know that at the time. I just kind of went off of what we created. So I think take ownership for not understanding that we couldn't amend that, and it's one of those things you can't. In our position, it's hard to have the attorney here every single meeting due to cost. But I think obviously we're all clear on that. I think if the council's intent is to come back with the resolution, obviously we have the templates on how to craft this and how to get it done, so we could get that done in a timely fashion. It just has to be under the council's leadership.
Okay, great, thank you. And I have no comments. Madam Clerk, would you take a vote on the resolution?
Voting on the main motion to approve Resolution 20-028. Kreitz,
Yes.
McClure,
Yes.
Butts,
Yes.
Baklan,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Cease,
Yes.
Mayor Terry.
Yes.
That resolution is approved.
Great. Now, citizen comments. With our current situation, we're not able to,
I didn't have any.
yeah, that's fine. No citizen comments following the item. Next on the agenda is council and administration comments and response. Sorry, City Manager Mazzaros, I'll let you speak first if you have something additional to say.
Oh, no, I just, I want to thank the council for, there's a lot of growing pains with some of these issues. I mean, obviously, the attorney and I have been through a lot of this, and there's a lot of communities on our municipal league this morning even, where there's communities that have no rules, they have no guidelines, they're trying to go off the mandates of the governor, and they literally, I mean, even our FAQs and all the work that our staff has put together to explain things and reference things, there's a lot of people out there that don't have clear guidance, and a lot of them don't have attorneys, and it's a lot of work, and I think the good intention was there with the council, and I just, it's hard that there's a mechanism and it's new to us, and this is developing, and so I feel like I understand that it's frustrating to go through this and the process, but I think I applaud your efforts, and I do think it's a thing that the council should pursue, and I want to provide support to do that. So thank you for your leadership, and it's good to be a part of a group that's trying to do what is good for their community, and I think that's what the core is, and every one of you has got that at heart. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Administrator Mazzaros. Councilmember Osenga, did you have council comments this evening?
I would just like to say thank you to Councilmember Price and Councilmember McClung for all the work they've done on this issue, and let them know that it's something that will happen. I believe something will come down the pipe, and I think it'll happen quickly. So, just thanks to everybody.
Thank you. Councilmember Butts, did you have council comments?
There again, I would like to thank Councilmember McClung and Councilmember Price for their work on this one too. What we have to remember though out there is that this motion originally came to us on Monday from a dedicated nurse who's working on the front line. Not just going to be somebody that just made this up as it's out there too. So we have to then look at this one, and I think this is something that we have to put on the books somewhere. Masks, whether people believe the virus is real or not, there is still a crisis going on there too. And part of this crisis is the passing of a virus, which masks do help. Seatbelts save lives, masks help save lives. We've got to be able to put something on the books as we start to look at it too. I just hope that everybody listening out there too, as we start to think about this one, use common sense. Be good to one another. Let's hope we look back at this thing and say, we did a good thing, rather than we all panicked and ran to the hills. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Councilmember Butts. Councilmember Cease?
Well, I'm wondering, can we have a special meeting on that, or does it have to wait till a week from next Monday?
Well, there's special meeting procedures outlined in our rules of council procedures, so it would require either myself to call it or 2 council members, so that option is always available.
Okay, well, do you think we would have it ready to have it out?
I do not know.
What Holly's talking about, will we be able to have that so we can do something?
I do not.
Mayor, this is Holly. I can talk to that. I mean, I can just say, I will absolutely be available to you if you want to, even if this is an emergency meeting, because it certainly would be appropriate for an emergency meeting. I can turn something around after review in a few hours. And I did reach out to Councilmember McClung today, and I left a message. I'm sorry we didn't connect, but during this time of crisis, I try to get back to people in 5 to 10 hours max. So all of you should know that, because you may have other goals that you want to follow after follow us up after this one. So I think we can definitely have it ready on my end.
Okay. Now, another thing is, a few years ago, when people were using the handicaps on parking, we had tickets that we could write through over to the, the nurses stuff over at the old building across the street over here, that's the one. But we were able to get tickets, and we give a ticket to them, and we give one over here to the nurses thing, and then we also give one to the police. Now, I don't know if that's something that we can do, because that is awful hard to have our police department go to the grocery store or any post office and sit there and give tickets. Now, this might be something that we could do as citizens, and we don't even have to make any big dealings of it. We'll just give it to the police and whoever. So I don't know if that's something we can do or not. So I'm hoping that we can, because I really think that we have to do that, and if we mandate it to the right way, then we should be able to do that. Other than that, and thank you both for all that work you've done. I know how hard it is to get something going. So thanks again.
Thank you. Councilmember Baclan, did you have council comments?
I do. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to Councilmember Kreitz for working with me and providing time to work on things like this. The proposed language that Councilmember Kreitz came up with, that we presented, that was the third kind of copy or revision that we made, or third possible revisions that we made. So there was a laydown that was provided to the public and to council prior to the meeting. It is hard in times like this to work on things like that, because a lot of us are not policy writers or writers in any way to try and come up with language, so it is difficult sometimes. But we all are working very hard to try and protect the public and try and do things that we feel that will help the community. I would like to thank you all the other council members as well for working through this. And this, this is kind of an example where we need really strong legal advice that is helpful and responsive to our needs. I would hope that in the future, law firm, we look at people who are attentive to what's going on in our city government and who can react and provide leadership as needed, and hopefully can be a little more responsive on that. I just want the public to know as well that we are trying our absolute best under these circumstances, and we appreciate everyone's patience, and just be kind and courteous to each other. And all the language that came up that we had looked at was language that exists already. There are 13 mandates or so that are provided by the state. Only one of them is enforceable by fees or fines. So with the first review that we did of this had no fees or fines. We were just strongly mandating that it was just in public places. So as many people feel that they don't want to wear masks or don't feel that it's helping anything, we know now that the CDC recommends the use of cloth face coverings. Different cities and municipalities have also required them as well to slow the spread of the virus. These are just examples that we pulled from other places. So they're not things that we're trying to take people's rights away or that are new things. Even the municipality of Anchorage is currently looking at language for the use of face masks within the municipality. So this may be even a thing that's coming down from the state shortly. But again, I'm willing and more willing to work with Councilmember Price to possibly come up with a resolution as soon as possible, and if we can get the attorney to work with us on that, to get that turned around to possibly a special or emergency meeting in the near future. And I'd like to thank all the emails and comments that were sent. The best thing to do is to call your council members and not air out all that dirty laundry on Facebook. If you need their information, you can call Brenda and ask for the information, the clerk, and you can call me. My phone number is 907-422-7320, and we can give you information. Don't let Facebook be the only form of information that you look toward. So thank you, and wash your hands.
Thank you, Councilmember Baclan. Councilmember Kreitz?
I would just like to say thank you again to all the council members and Mayor Terry and to Tony Baclan for all of his help on this, and to all of the emails and phone calls. I just want everyone to know that I read every single one, and I appreciate all the communication and all the information and responses that you gave us. It really gave us a direction to look to what the city was really wanting on this. And I do think that people are doing a very good job here in town. My fear is just what's coming with the summer and spring and fishing, and I just want to keep all of us protected from visitors and tourists, and I will work with everyone to get this back on the table very quickly.
Thank you, Councilmember Kreitz. Vice Mayor McClure?
Well, so we've spent a lot of time on this, and certainly it's occupied the last couple days of my life. I've read every single email. I've talked to so many people on the phone. There's been such concern, and I think part of the concern was the not knowing also. So I'm hoping perhaps we could send something out on the website or somehow saying that what we did tonight, because at this point there is no mandate to wear a mask in Seward, and people were still wondering if there was today. You know, and I've heard this more and more, that I don't know, people get their information off Facebook, but we didn't put out a notice because we were reconsidering it tonight. That's why it wasn't noticed. But, you know, we need to be making it clear to people where we are now in this thing. So I agree that we have to do everything we can to slow the virus spread. I think people are doing a pretty good job. There were a lot of masks out there today being worn. Personally, I don't agree with some of the places we were expected to wear them in the thing that we just got rid of, like in our own yards and this and that. So there's a balance, and I think that's probably what we'll come up with. So I guess it's been a learning process. People have mentioned that, you know, and you know, none of us were expecting to be dealing with this on council. So bear with us and we'll get there. That's all I got.
Thank you. I just want to take a second and, you know, clearly and sincerely apologize to our Seward residents and those living outside of city limits that were extremely angry and fearful that Monday night's initial mandate to wear a cloth face covering was meant to strip them of civil liberties and institute governmental overreach in Seward. I do not think that that was council's intent. It certainly was not my intent. And so during this time of global, statewide, and a locally declared health emergency, you know, I'll personally take responsibility for the anger and the hatred that was generated with the action taken by council. And I want to ask the citizens for peace and kindness with each other as this moves forward. We are in a time when feelings and expressions are passionate and everyone thinks that they are 100% more right than the other person. But I think that if we soften our words, that they will convey either greater understanding, meaning, and power. So I just want to beg folks to please be kind to each other on Facebook. What I'm seeing is that everyone that lives here has the same goal that can be used to govern our discourse. Take comfort to know that we want the same outcome, and that's what is best for Seward, the residents' health, environment, and economic prosperity. chirping at council is one thing. We're up here, we have it, that's what we're here for. But I would just ask the kindness with your neighbors. So additionally, it's not Seward's making, but make no mistake, the next phase of this situation is going to be brutal. So my hope is that we're able to remove mandates and start to heal. When that happens, that the same passion people use to debate the issues will turn into passion for helping others with the suffering in our community. So thank you for caring and being involved with local government. Be well and have a good night. Councilmember City Attorney Wells, did you have any further comments?
I do. I just want to make one thing very clear. So your emergency COVID-19 rules encompass all of the health mandates. That means they are enforceable by a fine by your local police officers. Also, health mandate 10, 11, and 12 for the state have very significant fine penalties associated with them. So it's important that people are aware of that there are ways to enforce these rules, and they go as far as reckless endangerment of life, felony charges. So I'm not trying to breed fear, but I just want to make sure it's very clear there is an enforcement mechanism. And I also want council to know that I have been working around the clock, both with Seward and other communities, on these types of mandates, and I am here. So if you need me, it did take me about 2 hours to get back to Councilmember McClellan today, but short of a 2 to say maybe 5-hour window, I will respond to you. I will help you craft things so you can get what you need in place for your public. So those are there. I really want you to be aware of those pieces.
Great, thank you. City Clerk, do you have any further comments? No. Great, thank you. So at 6:15, I'll adjourn the meeting.